Let's move. You're welcome to First Take here on Joy 99.7 FM. And what a week it's been. Back and forth with the Ghana Football Association presidential elections, disqualifications, appeals. We are having petitions allegedly being sent to the World Football Governing Body, FIFA. But all of that is not deterring the Normalization Committee or the Elections Committee of going ahead with plans for the October 25 Ghana Football Association presidential elections. The ballot has been done. We'll get to know who lies where on the ballot paper, but we understand number one is for Kurt Okraku. What does it mean? Does it enhance his chances of becoming the next FA, the next GFA president? We'll see all of that. We'll double into superstitions. Nimokafui and Ayetefrem will be joining us. We'll try to gauge what the numbers mean as far as spirituality and the Ghana Football Association election is concerned. Also, the World Athletics Championship is of course over, but a very familiar story with Ghana at these multi-sport events or international competitions. Bonuses and per diems are owed certain athletes. Why? The female quartet, Ghana's 4x100 meter female team, have spoken out. We'll try to gauge why we always seem to come back with these problems and not what we want, and that is medals. We went to the World Champions and came back with nothing, but we are owing athletes per diems and bonuses. We'll also double into a lot of other big stories making headlines in the world of sports right here on First Take. Nathaniel Lato, Joy Sports editor, is here with me. Jesse Amponsa, Prof, is also here. Benedict Owusu-Dankwa is here with me. He'll give us all the lowdown in respect of the Ghana Football Association's elections. The balloting, of course, like I said, was done today. He has all the details. We'll run it all by us right here on First Take. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. Bill Ishan is heavy for us on social media, on Twitter, and of course you can join the conversation on Twitter as well, and also via WhatsApp on 0244340437, 0244340437. Thank you very much for joining us. It promises to be fun. Let's move. You got to Right, let's get into the meat of the issues that have come up this week. And Nathaniel Lato, like I said, here with me. Jesse Amponsa here with me. Benedict Owusu-Dankwa is also here with me in the studio. Gentlemen, let's get the energies up. Jesse, it's been a while. It's been a long time.
You mean the recently married Jesse Amponsa?
I heard something. No, you will.
Yeah, what did you hear?
I hear say you carry block. I hear say you carry block.
Hey, Charlie.
Say boys get blocker.
Charlie, that'll be right. Charlie, you know the walk into the studio, the steps into the studio.
They had a lot of
the confidence is like.
But Charlie, today I heard like this bill do something I don't understand. He said they are the ones controlling what Wesley girls. I have a problem with that.
They as doing
all this Presecting. Doing all this other things. Meanwhile, I'm coming. You see, meanwhile, when it comes to old boyism and those things, we are the ones who taught them.
Okay.
Kwabotri taught them how to do it.
Don't worry, you
and they've learned a few things, including Ogasco and all the others.
Our 90th anniversary games tomorrow. You know the whole of the champions. We're planning towards our 90th anniversary games tomorrow. At the Burma Camp.
Did you say what?
90? Yes. The Premier Catholic Educational Institution.
I like the way you stress
it. For our 90th anniversary, we won the science and maths quiz. We're doing it again, Charlie. But let's give shouts to our brothers, from Presec. Salute to all of you. We're joining you tonight, Charlie. You know, every taxi driver. Yeah. You know, every Uber driver, the Uber drivers are just going to park around there because they know Charlie.
It's business.
Yeah.
No. It's good for them. It's good for them. But we want to wish them all the best.
Presec is just a stone's throw from 2 major campuses. Charlie.
That one.
Tonight.
That one.
I'm a bit surprised Presec talked about, gay girls because in Accra, they're in Cape Coast.
And drive up the mountain a little bit to your brick house.
I can't understand why. I can't understand. And they are controlling who?
Shouts to all the other dear boys.
Right, so let's begin on this note. I mean, we had a tragic news of Errol Spence Jr.
Not tragic. I mean, unfortunate. Yeah.
Unfortunate, not tragic. Yeah. Okay, not yet, at least.
Yeah.
WBC and IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. Just about 3 weeks ago defeated Sean Porter for that WBC title, involved in a very bad accident. I saw the video of his car somersaulting, and Charlie, it looks really, really bad, but we understand he's in stable condition.
Well, this news shook the whole boxing fraternity, the international boxing fraternity, and to think that Errol Spence Jr. and Sean Porter treated the whole world to what I believe has been the most exciting, definitely the most exciting title fight. I mean, in terms of punch rate, in terms of excitement, in terms of ring movement, in terms of technique, in terms of fighting spirit. I mean, look, nothing else defines fighting spirit better.
Absolutely.
And in terms of the use of experience and the use of strategy as well, it defined every other aspect of boxing in a very unique way. And for me to think that we were just coming a few days after this classic fight, that this unfortunate incident happened is rather sad. But this also goes to say something. Our world champions should understand, I mean, without wanting to blame anybody, I mean, things do happen.
Yeah.
But our world champions should understand that once they assume that status, once they strap those heavy belts made of different, a lot of them are, made of gold. Once you strap that heavy belt made of gold with the inscription WBC, IBF, WBA, IBO, you have a responsibility towards your generation and the generations after you. You have a certain responsibility to live your life and live a good example. I'm rather saddened by the fact that he was going at a certain speed and didn't have a seatbelt on. And if you put it in plain language, that will be irresponsible behavior. I'm sorry to say this. I mean, at this time, we're not supposed to be concentrating on any of that. But like I'm saying, our world champions and our sporting icons need to understand that every single thing they do. Look, we all like to have our fun. You know what gives you your adrenaline. Absolutely. I know what gives me my adrenaline. Hans knows what does same for him, But at the end of the day, let's make sure that we are responsible, because the moment you choose to do what you do, you remember that you have to take responsibility that for every single thing that falls within that space, and every single expectation that society has of you, and every single bar of excellence that you need to meet up to. So for me, I think that this should be it's a very unfortunate lesson. There's no doubt about that. But this should be a message to everybody. Let us just live our lives well and live by example. Because you can imagine, I mean, look at the number, look at the kind of following that Errol Spence Jr. has. Look at the number of young boys young black boys, not even young boys, but young black boys in America alone who are looking forward to him and wanting to become like him. I mean, and to know that the champion also sits in his car without the seatbelt, so I could do the same, and I could live my life like that.
Very unfortunate. But there's some good news. There's some good news in respect of that. We understand he's in stable condition and is expected to make a full recovery. So that is good, because I was really worried. If you look at the video that is circulating, how he survived it is a miracle. For the car to somersault and for him to be thrown out of the car, it's really a miracle that he finds himself still alive.
Absolutely, it's indeed a miracle, and it also talks about the level of the speed with which he was driving. Because I mean, again, it talks about traffic regulations and all that. I find it a bit strange that usually, I mean, people who are supposed to be role models, people who are supposed to be people that we look up to, don't recognize. I always say this, that when you are doing something, you never realize how important you are to people until that thing happens. and it's always important that role models, people that we look up to, conduct themselves in such a manner, because once you become that public figure, you don't own yourself anymore.
Absolutely. It's amazing the outpour of love from all over the world.
And that should tell him a lot. That should really tell him, and it should tell you how important that sport is to the people who follow it and to the people who love it. There are a lot of people who love their boxing, who love their world champions, and they wouldn't want them to die in that kind of tragic manner. And for me, I think that it's one of those major lessons. Clearly, Hans, it's not only about Spence Jr. It's all about us.
It's happened, and you see, quite a number of them have also lost their lives. The man who gave Azuma Nelson his first world title shot, the one that actually pushed him into the global picture, Salvador Sanchez. He died, I think, about 3 weeks after the Azuma Nelson fight.
Absolutely.
So it's happened. Diego Corrales as well. Also,
and this was the sad thing for Diego Corrales. He died via a motorbike accident, and that was very sad. We don't want these kinds of things to be happening to our world champions. It's very, very sad. I also remember Vernon Forrest, who fought Ike Bazooka Quarte at the Madison Square Garden in summer of 2006. He was shot at a filling station. He got into an argument with somebody who wanted to rob him, I think, and it happened. So our hearts go out to him.
The good news is that he's expected to make
hearts go out to him. Messages have come from Floyd Mayweather Jr., from
everybody. Even Kell Brook, who beat I think last year. He makes a full recovery, and then we expect to see him back.
And of course, full recovery to Jeff Fennick, the legendary Jeff Fennick. He had successful heart surgery in Thailand, and he's also recuperating.
The father and son.
Father and son. I'm too bad, baby. I'm too bad, baby. I'm too bad.
Let's get into the football bit, and Benedict. Of course, was at the Ghana Football Association Secretariat for the balloting. But before all of the balloting, we've had a back and forth this week. First was media reports that Wilfred Osei-Kwesi appeal had been dismissed by the elections committee. Of course, there had not been an official communication from the FA. It was until the following day that an official communication emerged, indeed, that his appeal had been dismissed. I think on Newsnight I spoke to Ebo Apia.
Was it even an official communication? I think it was a letter that was sent to Parma.
It was a letter that was sent to Parma.
But a letter that was sent to Parma.
Yeah, but it was official, signed by.
Yes. No, the letter was official, but it wasn't the FA that made it official. As in, they put it on their website that we've thrown out the.
Okay.
So it was a letter that was sent to Parma, and then
we intercepted it.
The letter came out. Whether it was Parma that decided to put it out, or his team, or whatever.
No, nobody cares. The most important thing is that it was intercepted.
It was intercepted.
And it was out.
So that also came. Ebapia says that he hinted that he will be going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport as of this afternoon. When I spoke to you on Pulse on Joy News, we didn't know whether they had filed their case at CAS, and whether, of course, they said they were going to petition FIFA's ethics committee as well. We don't know whether they've done that also, but we are going ahead with the election.
Yeah, of course. The normalization committee, acting as the election committee this afternoon, did the balloting. And as you rightly mentioned in your intro, now what we know is that Keto Kweku is number 1 on the ballot paper, followed by George Free, and then Fred Papo is number 3, Amanda Clinton, Nana Ponsa, and then lawyer George Amarko. They take the 4th, 5th, and 6th position respectively. So, of course, we've known about.
Who is the 6th position? Lawyer
the last person is here, Lawyer Nkoma.
So, Asio. You mean Asio will do the trick? And then Esroho.
Just like, was it 2000? Or was it 2000?
Yeah, it was the 2000 elections.
2000 elections.
Yes.
President Kufo.
It was all about Asio.
Go over it one more time because I find something quite interesting in there.
My guy, relax.
Are you saying? What do you want to say?
Let him finish.
What are you thinking? I'm thinking.
Hans, you run the show here, but Charlie, relax.
Oh, you Benedict. We are running the show.
Number one on the ballot paper.
He's the spiritual man, so you allow him.
Who is number 1 on the ballot paper? And Georgie Free is number 2. And then Fred Papo is number 3. Amanda Clinton number 4. Nana Yawan Ponsa number 5, and then George Ankoma Mensah,
Okay.
number 6.
So what are you thinking?
Ebe hu pa o. But you see, we could actually.
But I really like the way the Ket camp has taken this.
The number one, yeah?
Yeah, the number one.
They see a spiritual angle to
I
it.
see tweets and pictures on their status saying what Uno.
Numero
Uno, yeah.
Numero
So,
uno.
Benedict, do you remember the last election?
I know what the
There was a
Bible
Bible
says.
verse.
Oh,
The first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first.
but we also know of those that said we're in a comfortable lead and then it turned out to be something else.
Yeah,
And
but
we've
but
heard
and
candidates- I'm just
you talked
about the
so you know what? No, let's do this. Who is number 5?
Number 5 is Nana Yao.
So you do a high five. It will all be high five. Then all of us will be
Because
greeting.
if you are talking about the last election, someone saying that he was number 1. Someone, we were in this country when people
Yeah,
said they
John
had a comfortable
316.
lead and then the comfortable lead turned out to be something else. We've had candidates in this
As
very election
for the number 1, there is not a
they're in a
guarantee.
comfortable lead, so you always have to be
no,
careful.
but
But no, it's a good strategy. I mean, no one will say I will lose, and it's the same point I keep telling people about George Efie. I've heard people say that George sounds overconfident, and I'm like, but what do you want him to do?
But
He's going in for an election, and the man must tell you that he will
But he
win
cannot afford to be
based on his
overconfident. He can be confident, but
No, he can be over.
It's dangerous.
No, he can be
It's
over.
dangerous.
No, he's not. He can
Yeah.
be over. I mean, he's
Can
going.
he-
But
fear delegates.
But what do you want him to do? You want him to come in?
I'm saying he
tell
can be.
you
He
full-
can afford to be confident,
Put his
but
hands
not
in his
afford
legs
to.
and tell-
No.
and tell you that word.
He cannot afford to be overconfident. That
No.
one is an election.
No, Pop.
But he can be confident.
That's what I'm saying. It's
I
an
say,
election.
for me,
It's-
my thing is
you know,
be
it's
confident
it's
going
even a
into the
strategy.
election.
It's even a strategy. You know, it's a strategy.
A strategy from who?
But
No, I'm saying if you are going into an election,
Yeah.
I mean, where you know very well that you have tougher guys around you. Kets, we all know, yes, with
Yeah.
his manifesto and everything. The very first day George submitted his form at the FA, he mentioned that, and he even gave a number to the endorsement.
Yeah.
That endorsement from both Premier and Division,
Yeah,
and
and then, yeah.
if that's anything to go by, he's won the election.
I can understand your
yeah.
strategy. The strategy
Ket also
of
telling me the same.
I can
So
understand
you
the strategy
mentioned the
of-
order again, eh?
Yeah.
So Ket's number 1.
Kets number 1,
George number 2.
You have Fred Papo number 3, Amanda Clinton number 4, Nana Yamponsa number 5, and then George Ankoma Mensah
Number 6.
Okay, so Fred Papo is number 3. Somebody should check
Hold it.
John chapter 3:19.
Guys, hold it. Before
You
John,
remember
before
2016
John chapter 3:19, hold it.
Somebody
Get
should
it
check.
down.
The
Okay,
point I want to make is that, brother, I'll come to the point I want to make is that. Eh?
You see, Nana
On-
has mentioned that this election is divine. And
He's number what?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah. Kets has also mentioned somewhere that if he doesn't win this election, then there is no God. Yes, and George also has mentioned quite a number of times that he's winning based on his calculation.
Charlie,
remember that
this
chief-
one, now you hold your thought. This one deserves a Shatawale. Let's drop that one for me.
Charlie, true.
I'm overdosed with music. Super scary. Come like a kite. Hi. Shatawale come like a kite. Hi. Me come to them like some kakai. Hi. Shatawale come like a kite. Forever and ever, I'll be a soldier. Forever and ever, I'll be a leader. Forever and ever, I'll be a teacher. Forever and ever, I'll be a father. Aye, call me your IGP. Salute to me anytime. Yes, I'm master. Call me Duncan Williams. All men sound what I be. Hallelujah. I don't go fit dog you, cause I know say I they love you. I be your father. So we don't waste no time. Money we account every time. More dollar. In the world,
Hi, Charlie. Kakai. Super scary. Yes, Shatawale say that line, at the start of this song.
You know,
Super
I was
scary.
telling you that there are spiritual connotations to everything that is going on.
Uh-huh.
Like, for instance, the submission of forms was done on Friday, right?
The what?
The submission of forms.
Yeah.
Who's
Okay.
submission of forms?
Okay. All of
the,
them.
all the
Yeah.
aspirants then, before they became candidates, it was on Friday. George was there, Ket was there, and then Ket's manifesto launch was when?
It was on
Was it
Ket.
on Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Yes, I think it was on a Wednesday.
It was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
There was something that he did on Friday. I asked
Yeah,
him,
that Friday he went to Kumasi to go and meet the press.
and I asked one of the guys following Kurt, and he told me that, you know what, everything that we're doing, look at the days. You understand? Today is when? Today is Friday.
Friday, yeah.
And today that we did a balloting. Right? So Friday, filing of nomination. Friday balloting, he's number one, and then something very critical happened some Friday.
But the voting is also going to be on a Friday, isn't it?
The voting is also on a Friday.
The voting is October 25. That will be on a Friday.
Let me check.
Check.
Yeah, it will be on a Friday.
So they
Because
believe that
20th is Monday.
And I was born on a Friday as well.
they believe that it's a holy Friday.
Yeah, and I was born on Friday as well.
Oh, but you are not running for
No,
it.
I'm not running, but
Yeah,
I was
but we
born
are
on
talking
Friday is
about-
a very crucial
So
day.
the order again is Kurt's number one.
That's the way you are stressing on this thing. You have a certain sinister motive that
Oh, I don't. I just want listeners to be very familiar with the order.
Okay.
Kurt's number one. Number two is
George Ofri.
George.
Number three is
Number
Fred
three
Papu.
is Fred Papu.
Number four is Amanda Clinton. And then
Charlie, continue.
Number five is
you know what is critical in
Number
this
four is
election?
Amanda Clinton.
I'm hearing something that I don't know if some of the candidates they already know that people around them, and I'm not going to mention anybody's name. People around the candidates
Benedict,
that
every
they
day you
think,
mention the name.
Oh no, Charlie.
Mention the name, let's go.
Why do you have to mention their name?
Why don't you have to
Let
mention
them
it?
go and do their own job, Charlie. I'm not here to campaign for anyone. See, the candidates, people that are following them, that they think are going to vote, they are not going to vote.
oh,
That
Delegates.
no. It's about.
I
It's
also
about
heard something.
It's about It's about the compilation of the
Exactly.
people who will vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the things we are hearing, some candidates will receive shocks of their lives.
No,
Oh,
but-
okay.
but-
Let's get
For
clarity.
instance,
Hold it.
so
Hold
for
it. Let's
instance,
get clarity.
And I'm not good. For instance,
Which
in my club,
clarity?
in my club, Prof is a member or maybe a top member in my club, and he's
Say
backing
Benedict
you.
FC. And
Not-
then I support Kets.
you support No, why are you mentioning?
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
but
let's-
it's important.
let's
So,
use-
so,
no,
so,
let's use-
Benedict,
Okay.
clarity. In essence, it's not about who the club say they are backing. It's about who is actually going to cast the vote.
Yeah, it's that day.
So, for instance, your
Charlie.
club, your club.
But why? If the club say they are backing,
Come-
go and vote for the
your
president.
club. I am running for president. You are with Prof. Prof is backing me. Nat is backing me. On a day, you decide to take Prof and Nat's name from it, and then you put different people there. I lose some votes there, right?
Yes, definitely.
So that's what is happening. So
That is
you mean-
mafiaism.
No, it's
not.
not. What is mafiaism?
It's not.
Why is it not?
But it's part of.
You see,
It's part of the-
I'm the owner of the club.
it's reality. It's the reality that many of these candidates may be oblivious of.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. Let's all remember that in all of this, it's 120 people. Now, a chunk of the 120 people will be determined in the coming weeks. I think it's about a week and a half from now. The RFA elections.
Even the
The RFA elections is a very, very difficult turn in the campaigning process towards this final day.
Absolutely.
The reason is that every candidate has to get down there on the ground and make sure that whoever he identifies as a comrade,
So that's why you grab your people.
you need to grab your people and you need to campaign with them and for them so that they win, so that you in turn get those certain votes that you are campaigning with. You understand me?
Okay.
Because we've heard candidates say that, I have so and so number of clubs ready and good to go with me. 25 clubs have endorsed me. These
I
number
know
of clubs
Kanye
have
says he has 50 plus 1%.
exactly
Yeah.
the point. So this period is a very, very, very crucial period for all of them because
Right.
they need to get the people there within the RFAs so that they can form that big chunk that they're looking for to push them when it comes to the numbers.
But
It's just
here-
120 people.
Here again, the crucial thing is this: you have 48 Division 1 league clubs. All of them are going to vote. 1-1 votes. You have 16 Premier League clubs. 2 of them are going to vote. Now, so if you look at it, if say Club A, the people who are going to represent Club A on that day, if they belong to a particular candidate, he's assured of 2 votes.
Yeah.
So it's very, very key that the candidates pay attention, especially for the presidential candidates.
But
They pay attention to
another quick
which
question,
people
Benedict.
will be representing the
Let's
clubs.
let's just say you okay. So Benedict and Nana Yamponsa, sorry, Jesse Amponsa, they belong to Joy FC. Okay.
Yes.
So Joy FC say they support Hans Mensah Andor,
Yes.
the candidate.
Yes.
Now they go in there. Prof goes to vote for another candidate, and Benedict votes for you.
But so
You see, all of these things are possibilities.
Yes, it's a possibility. But in this case, Joy FC would make sure that the people they pick, they are going to automatically vote for Hans. That's what is going to happen in this election. So you are going to have a situation where if club owners do not trust that their members will go, they will go and vote themselves.
So, for instance, Asante Kotoko, and they've declared their support for George publicly, have
Yes.
done that.
Yeah.
Mediama SC.
Yes.
You should trust that the two people that Mediama will send there.
They are sure that those people are going to vote for. So it is.
Let's just make space for the
So,
surprises.
but hold it.
Let's
Yeah,
just
of
make
course.
space. This is a
You
human
know what I'm picturing?
exercise, a
You know what I'm
human
picturing?
institution as well.
I'm picturing a situation where, I mean, on the day, a lot of things will happen. Benedict, you know, a lot of things.
Oh
will
yes,
happen.
yes. Why not?
I'm picturing a situation where a club may have declared,
Yes.
you know, the rep would have confirmed that indeed we are going to vote for this person. But
Yes.
somebody on the day quietly would lobby somebody, and then in the final hours,
Who behave like a Charles Dempsey.
I said
Shall be
lobby.
well.
Yeah, I use the, you see,
I said who behave like
I
a
use
Charles
I
Dempsey.
use the word lobby.
Charles Dempsey, who was sent to go and do a particular job and decided to do the other.
Okay, so somebody will lobby somebody effectively,
Okay. Oh, that's
and then he
possible.
gets into the
It's
booth.
really, really possible. That's
And
one.
he casts a different vote. But I mean, it all adds up to the excitement. That's why I played the song.
Then-
On the day, once the ballot papers are counted,
Then
And then
I'm
there's
going to
something
bring
we have to
another.
note.
Then I'm
Jo-
raising
Jo-
another issue.
multimedia's photographer David Ando should be there. He captures the best images you can find,
And that's why
anywhere
he's
in the world.
winning all of the awads.
Yeah,
Congratulations
yeah,
to
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah,
David Andor. We
And-
believe in
and-
you so
and-
much. You're a great
and-
guy.
And the images, the reactions he's going to capture, priceless.
Then please, I'm putting this concern at the doorstep of the NC.
Yeah.
They've issued a letter about
No.
Nanyang Princess Club, Fire Rangers. Now, if we don't take care, we are going to have a situation where 121 clubs are going to contest for wanting to vote. This is the take. Now, if you look at demotion and promotion, it's the role of Congress.
Per the FA statute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you have a situation where the normalization committee has written a letter to reinstate
Fire Rangers.
Fire Rangers. Now that thing has not been confirmed by Congress.
Based on the instruction of CAS, add that.
Yeah, based on the instruction of CAS. But in this case, promotion and demotion is the sole preserve
Absolutely.
of Congress.
If you are going strictly by the provision in the statute,
Exactly.
then
So-
an illegal, even if it's a directive from CAS, an illegality may have been.
You know,
may have been
but
committed.
CAS by giving that directive, it does not mean that it's mandatory for Ghana to, because Ghana as an association has its rules
Sovereignty.
and regulations.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So for me, I hope that the normalization committee will settle this particular thing before they go on the 25th, because Ochiman planners will not agree. And you know that Ochiman planners belong to one of the candidates.
exactly.
Now we are going to have a situation where there might be the possibility that Nana Aponsa may not be able to vote.
It actually is in twofold. You mentioned that promotions and demotions is a sole preserve of Congress.
Yes.
Now, CAS says reinstate Fire Rangers. Did
Yes.
it say demote Fire Rangers?
No,
Okay, so that's where the challenge is.
So in this case, what should have happened is that we should have an ordinary Congress for that item to be put as
then
part of the agenda.
Can it be dealt with before the voting starts?
It's not possible.
On the day?
No, it cannot be dealt
Because
with
the
because on the
Congress-
voting they are going for an extraordinary Congress, and in an extraordinary Congress, you per the statutes you can't introduce a foreign material.
Interesting.
So I mean, I think that the normalization committee must settle this matter for all of us before the 25th, so that we are clear about the 120 people who are going to vote on that day.
Let's get clarity on a few other issues as well, Bennett. I'm sure you can help us here.
I think it's got to do with the injunction, no injunction. You know, there are reports.
Yeah. But even before we get into that one, there are a lot of people who keep asking me, what was the basis of Palmer's disqualification? First of all, what was it? Why was he disqualified?
Well, the basic thing, per this letter that was sent to Palmer, according to the NC, the documents, the appeal, was after the deadline.
No, not even the appeal. The initial disqualification.
Okay, the initial
Yeah.
disqualification one had to do with the 10% which he was supposed to pay the FA after Joseph Paintill's transfer that he failed to pay.
Okay.
And also the second one, I think,
Was
had
the
to do with
ethics committee decision?
Ethics committee decision after he made those comments on us, one of the radio stations.
After the 2017.
Yeah, after the 2017, that we failed because we did not pay certain amount to referees. That's why we couldn't qualify. And then the ethics committee at that point asked him, directed him to apologize to the executive committee and that's the sports ministry for that matter. But I think the letter he wrote, per my understanding, the letter he wrote was to the executive committee, which according to Palmer, he copied the sports ministry.
Okay.
You understand? But I think the normal practice for the vetting committee, per what I know or what I'm hearing, is that they would have loved for him to apologize to the executive committee and also apologize to the sports ministry. So that was also the second thing. But I think the main bone of contention had to do with
the Joseph
Paintill's transfer, which in the FA rules it is there and that was adopted at Congress. FIFA frowns on that ITC is for free. You don't pay for it.
But
so
the
FA adopted that.
Let's get clarity on that too. ITC is free. The document ITC is free. You don't pay for it.
Don't pay.
It is not in respect of the 10%.
Well, you wait.
Yeah, because you call it development fee. That's how they call it. 10%.
Development fee, and
5% goes to the FA,
Galka,
and 5% goes to Galka.
You understand? And in a situation where the player is
a juvenile, Galka's 5% goes to the juvenile committee.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in this case, it has nothing to do with the FIFA thing. So let's limit it to what we are doing here in Ghana. Don't take your mind far.
Absolutely.
FIFA frowns on that.
Sure.
ITC is free and it's in the regulation. I'll get the article for, I think Article 10 or something.
Okay.
I'll get it for you. It is there.
The international transfer certificate, the document,
it is free.
It's free.
So, but here in Ghana, the FA at Congress adopted that based on revenue generation and all that. Let's bring this
our own peculiar situation.
Exactly. So whenever a player is transferred outside, you pay 10% to the FA.
It's enshrined in the FA statutes.
It is there.
Okay.
It is there, and that's what clubs have
I
been
want
doing. But
us to get the link.
Is that some of the clubs have not been paying.
Okay.
That's why now, if you go to the FA and you want to transfer a player, that's where you are made to sign an undertaking. You understand? Which Palmer, I understand, did in Joseph Paintill's case.
Okay.
But what happened was, the player went on loan to Hungary for the virus.
Yeah.
And at that point, when Genk came, the player could not come to Ghana
because our transfer
window then had closed.
Okay.
So Palmer wrote a letter of concern. You can let a club where he went on loan transfer the player based on whatever you tell them.
Okay. So he gave them permission to sell the player.
A note of authority of a sort.
Exactly. So according to Palmer and what I've been hearing is that when the player went on loan to Fenerbahce in Hungary, he paid the FA $500. You understand?
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Clarity.
Yeah.
He transferred the player from Tema Youth to the Hungarian club.
That was
on loan basis.
On loan.
Yes.
Yes.
On loan.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there were some monetary, dealings. And based on those monetary details, he paid $500 to the FA, which represents 10% of that transfer.
Yeah, I want to believe so.
Okay. So my thinking is that in his mind, he thought it was done. He was done with the FA in respect of the 10%.
Especially when the ITC was not released
issued by the
FA.
Ghanaian
It wasn't
FA.
the FA that transferred him because the transfer window had closed then.
Okay.
So for him, he thinks that he's
already paid the
done
10%.
with the FA and he has no business with
But
them.
also, you see, I think that in as much as everybody is focusing on Palmer and everything, how did the normalization committee take steps to take their money?
Oh,
Because it's important.
that I can
We are
answer.
told that Dr. Kofi Amoah's lawyer wrote to Palmer.
Yeah.
But is that how the FA works?
I also understand that Dr. Amoah himself personally
Yeah,
Called
Palmer to demand the money.
The bottom line
for
is
the
that
FA.
Dr. Amoah is president of the normalization committee. There is a secretariat that works.
Okay.
So why would Dr. Amoah want to call, you must make things official. So right now, the question to the normalization committee will be very simple.
So possibly maybe the general secretary should have done that.
But he should work under instruction.
Yeah.
Something he should be told by, and again, did they write to Palmer for Palmer to say to still continue not to say I won't pay? Then the next thing, after writing, of course you have to refer that conduct of Palmer to the disciplinary committee. Did they do that? So you see, when you haven't followed procedure, and then at the end of the day you want to punish the person, it becomes very difficult for me personally to want to accept, because again, Tema Youth, we play the tier 2, is that not the tier 1, tier 2 tournament. We could have used that process, because once the DC, you refer the conduct, and they still you start, the DC can find him guilty, and it will be forfeiture of points. So those procedures, did we really follow for us to now want to disqualify him on that basis? Because I mean, this is a very, very basic question. Medoka over Daimeka and Amentia. What is the process? Yeah, they die in Kano. So those are the things that for me I find it a bit.
So you think that on a procedural level things haven't been done right?
Absolutely.
And I think that Palmer's argument is also Palmer. He still makes
and
this
argument. I was coming to.
Yeah,
what really is his argument? That he's already paid or he won't pay?
No, they make this argument just to buttress what Prof is saying, that I mean the procedures are there. So if there is something that we have to do, why do you use a third person? Because in our rules we know very well that a member cannot sue the association in the same way the association cannot sue a member. So when you get a third party in quotes, because it wasn't a member of the FA, or the letter didn't come from the FA. But of course, I also want to believe that Dr. Kofi Amwa is the normalization committee president, right? And if the normalization committee president,
is he a debt collector?
Bro, that one be.
But he has a foremost responsibility, doesn't he?
Yeah, but there's a procedure you go through.
I get the procedure is that.
The procedure is that.
I'm coming.
Let your general secretary write.
No,
because right now you must make things official.
Just hold it.
Yes.
Just hold it. If somebody owes the FA, are you really saying that as president of the FA, as leader of Ghana football, you can't pick up a phone?
Yes.
And call the person and demand the money on behalf? Is it?
It's informal.
Because the phone call?
Yes, it's informal.
If I'm making a...
Okay. So if Palmer denies that you never called him, how do you prove it?
I get that. But I'm saying that if the initial action was that he called him to demand it on phone, okay, before writing to the man, are we really saying
who wrote to the man?
Phone conversations can be used in official meetings.
Hands, Prof.
Who wrote to the man? Who wrote to the man?
Guys.
That's the question I want.
There's something
that even on the presidential level, okay, even on the presidential level, diplomatic level, presidents cannot have conversations on phone and have them official.
Okay,
is that what we are saying?
Okay. So let's deal with this matter. Let's deal with this matter.
Oh, Prof, how about this case?
Before the normalization committee president cannot be compared to the president of Ghana, because he doesn't wield executive authority.
No, he's just
so he works. I'm just citing an example that in his capacity. So I'm coming in his capacity as a leader of Ghana's FA.
Yes.
Are we saying that he cannot have official dealings on phone? Is that what we are saying?
I'm saying that in this case, Daika.
Okay. All right. So Hans, I think that what Prof is trying to establish is that, you see, in administrative procedure there are rules, okay? Because at the end of the day, for future reference, you need the records.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, is the phone call a record? Is the phone call on record? If it's on record, then all well and good. But the best way to go in this regard, he would have preferred that we had something documented, something written, some correspondence of some sort. Away from that, however, we need to also look, I mean, like I said, we need to look at the flip side. That, you see, when these things come up, sometimes you need to engage. And in the process of engaging, you need to do some of these informal things in the background.
Of course.
The reason why Dr. Kofi Amwa will pick up a phone and call Palmer and say, my friend, look, we're trying to get this thing on track. And this matter is something that is pending. It's been on the books for a while. Please get it sorted so we can all move forward. I think it's in the right direction.
I think I'm not saying it's not right for him.
I do agree that he should write a letter.
It was ahead of the vetting, right?
So
it was before the vetting.
So Hans,
way before.
Hans, so when I have called you and you still haven't responded to my plea, what do I do? So I get my general secretary to write to you. because I tried to show good faith. No, I tried to show good faith.
He was written to, was he not?
He was not written to. He was written to.
Is that what he claims?
No,
is that what he claims?
He claimed that he was written to. He was written to by Frank Davis. Now Frank Davis doesn't work for the FA. I'm saying those are the key things. Listen,
Frank Davis is a legal practitioner. Correct?
Yes, of
Frank
what?
Davis is the chair. Hold on, Frank Davis is the chair of the vetting committee. At that time, he was not the chair.
I'm coming.
So clearly, you see, the point is this. I am being so strict on this procedural matter because I think that
it's important. It makes
a lot of sense to want to right now. If you wrote to Osei-Kweku Wilfred, by who? Your personal lawyer.
Did you see? Yes, we may know that. I'm coming. We may know that Frank Davis is Dr. Amo's personal lawyer.
Exactly.
But why didn't
what we have Jesse, I'm not boasting of knowing
asking questions.
What capacity
did he write in his capacity as Dr. Amo's lawyer, or was he contracted by the FA as a legal practitioner to write to Palmer?
But listen, in the FA's correspondence, the one who does correspondence is your general secretary. The FA has a general secretary. But why was the general secretary not allowed? Was not directed to write
under this normalization process?
But you see,
with the committee, does the general secretary still function?
Of course.
Yes. All the letters that he writes, he signed by
the
him.
secretary is still working. However, remember that this matter, you see, we're all here and we're talking about how the process has delayed.
How do we dissolve the executive committee and leave the general secretary standing?
Well, the FA secretariat has to run. Remember, the FA secretariat has to run over the period.
You know, secretary is
more or less
the lifeblood.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is the other thing you need to take into consideration. That you see, when, for instance, I owe you money.
Yes.
And you use the civil means. I mean, you reach out to me once, twice, 3 times. It doesn't work. What do? You resort to the legal means.
Obviously.
Now, what did Dr. Kofi Amwa do? He called, he made a phone call.
Yes.
A letter was written. Okay. Now, this letter was written by a lawyer. That then tells you that the matter had assumed a legal dimension.
Yeah, but you see,
because you see, nobody can go squeeze
I get Pro's insistence on procedure.
Nobody can go squeeze Palmer's neck to tell him.
Right now, you see. First and foremost, for me, Palmer and Temayut is the one member of the FA, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a member of the FA, and then you get a private legal practitioner to write to me about something that I owe the FA, how do I take that thing serious?
I think the interpretation.
How do I take it serious?
The interpretation would be that the FA is taking the member to court, which shouldn't be.
Exactly. But
the reverse also is that Dr.
I'm just interpreting.
And again, the FA statute states categorically how if somebody owes you should go for your money.
But Prof, I think the problem.
So the point is that does the statute say that your a private legal practitioner should write to him? Well, so those are the. For me, I think that on that level, the normalizing committee goofed. I mean, there's nothing like. There's a way that the statute prescribed when a member of the FA owes you. So you see, initially, when the normalization committee took over, they sort of discarded the statute and made it look like we are not in normal times. And these are some of the things they resorted to.
No, but we're not in normal times. Were we in normal times?
Please, can I come in? I think we have to look at it this way. Let's look at the Palmer case and look at normalization committee's case. Now look at Palmer's case. He was written to, be it whether it
was a personal lawyer of Dr. Amwa,
third party.
Yeah.
I don't even want to use that. Whether it was a third party or it was the procedure from the FA for the general secretary to write to Palmer. I mean, from his point, he signed an undertaking. I'm talking about the FA's point. Yes. Palmer signed an undertaking that he was going to pay the money because that's what is done per the practice of some clubs not paying as far back as
emphasis. I want listeners to get the point you are making.
You signed an undertaking.
Fantastic, and this is important.
Very important.
You are stating here that per the practice. No, I just want you to emphasize.
What I know or what I've been told is that because some of the clubs failed to pay this 10%, and it's not just my youth, if you go into the books, I'm sure
A lot of clubs have been
if the
paid.
FA should come out today, you realize that it's not only Parma. It's not only
A lot of
Chuma
clubs are owing.
Maybe you get other clubs that possibly you wouldn't want to mention their names here, per the clubs that we also know. But the fact that he signed an undertaking, and when things changed, especially when it wasn't the FA that transferred, possibly maybe he could have reviewed that undertaking that per so and so with what happened.
This agreement we signed doesn't hold anymore.
Something
Or cannot
like
be
that. Because
applied.
I'm thinking that if there was a letter like that from Mr. Palmer, possibly maybe the dynamics and the argument would have changed. But on the Dr. Kofi Amwa side, yes, we all know that
procedurally,
the FA cannot take a member to court, same as a member not take the FA to court. Because if you do that, then you count yourself out as a member.
Well, fundamentally.
But in this case, I mean, we are in a situation where you are trying so hard to get your money from someone. It's not even your money, but money meant for an association. You understand? I've called, I've written letters, or maybe
you have written a letter, not letters.
Well, but I've tried. And we know very well that this is what we have
you
to
wait
do.
for an opportunity like
And
Betty
so
to
it's
punish
like,
me.
No. So it's like I'm trying all other means to get my money, but the money is not coming. So maybe in a situation where Charlie, we really need the money, and I want to believe that they really needed the money at the point, because at that time, Charlie, referees and things were crying. You remember?
Yeah, I remember.
After the tier 1. So maybe I'm just thinking that possibly maybe they
needed money to do
needed money. So
if you needed money, if you needed money, you have used the right procedure to take your money.
So Benedict, fundamentally, let's wrap up on this aspect of the discussion. Fundamentally, what is Palmer's position? That he wouldn't pay the money, or that he paid in the initial loan transfer of Joseph Paintsil, which is the $500 that he mentioned?
I think his position now is that he's not going to pay the money, because for him, he already dealt with that during the loan move, which he gave the FA $500. And so far as it wasn't the FA that transferred the player, and it was a different club from a different country that transferred the player. He has no business with the FA paying the 10%. That's the bottom line.
So if even there's a new FA and they use the right procedure, you pay the money.
And at the risk of, this purely speculative, it's what I'm gathering. We understand that the money involved is about 300,000 euros.
It is. It's not about. It is
300,000.
So he sold the player for 3 million euros.
Yes.
And so, if you were to pay, he's supposed to give the FA 300,000 euros.
Yes.
And he says he's not going to pay.
He can't say that.
He's not going to pay.
It's very clear he's not going to pay.
You see, but if you see, I'm saying that if.
But you Jesse, wait. Yes. You Jesse. Can you carry 300,000 US dollars and just hand it to one like that?
But why? You have signed an undertaking that you will do it.
So
I'm just saying that for me,
Charlie,
my only issue with the NC is they didn't use the procedure.
It's good money. You are smiling. You can do a lot
an
with
agreement is an agreement.
Yes, $300,000. Yeah,
but like I said, I mean, I think that what Palmer wants to do is also to test the law as well, and he feels that he has a point. He feels that he has a case. For me,
it's a matter of law.
For me, when I look at all of this, especially from the sentimental point of view, I think that the fraternity is gradually also getting tired. People want to see football, the league.
But I have a challenge with that. You see, now I have a serious challenge with that. Do we simply want to see football return, or we want football return in a much better state?
You see, than
we saw it.
That is fine. However,
I think there's a certain desperation for football to simply return. I'm coming.
I'll tell you something.
I put a question.
And I have this fear too. I have this fear. You see how the campaign and everything is going. So I was making this point to Prof before we came on air, that Kit has he has his team, right? Made up of people that are trying to get on the executive council.
Okay.
George also has his team made up of certain individuals that
also
are trying to
get into the executive council.
They are all giving out their manifestos. Now, you know something? It is not like a general election where President Nanado will
He's an
pick
executive president
and will appoint
all his
the
ministers
people
and all that
will work for him. In this case, those that are going to be on the executive council are going to be elected.
Absolutely.
And they all have their minds.
And the executive authority will be vested in the council.
So for instance, if you look at some of them, their posters, they are telling us what they will do when they get onto the executive council. So if I am Mr. A, and this is not my candidate, and my candidate, a different candidate should win, I already have my mind coming in there. You understand?
Exactly.
And that's the fear, that we all want them to be unified. We all want
a unified front.
A unified front, but
we might not get
it
that.
is something that we really have to look at.
Well, those are things that we'll get to. And talk about the executive committee.
I'll be coming to that.
Talk about the executive council. Yeah. Tomorrow we have a conversation with the women representatives. One of them will be here in studio. Rosalind Amo, who's protesting for one of the cells.
I'll come to that one, guys.
For Rosalind.
On the Joy Sports Link tomorrow.
Just hold your thoughts for me for a moment. We've done just about some 5 minutes past 80 on Joy 99.7 FM. And of course, you've heard from Nathaniel Lato, Benedict Osudanko, and Jesse Amponsa. My name is Hans Mensah Bill on social media for us. And we've been talking about the Ghana Football Association elections. We know how the candidates appear on the ballot. Some people would think that, okay, let me not say it. I won't say it.
Why are you being tempted to say what you want to say? You say it.
I'll say it in my own space.
I think
you have
to say it to lose yourself.
Let's talk about compromises.
But not quickly.
Before we do that,
I'm
you made a point about Far Rangers here.
Yes.
I've just got a clarification.
The Far Rangers.
That you are calling on the normalization committee to sort out the issue. I've been told that that will be sorted out.
Okay.
When?
It will be sorted out. It will be sorted out.
Okay.
It's actually an agenda during Congress, so it will be sorted
out. But that Congress that they will be going, is it an extraordinary or ordinary?
Well, it will be sorted out.
Okay.
So
but that quickly on what you were saying about people wanting to rush.
There's a certain desperation.
You see, for control of the FA. You see, do you know what? We made this same mistake with Mr. Nyantechi. Oh, Nyantechi must go. He must go. We want him out. Now he goes. We see what has happened. I think that this seeming rush, everybody must be careful and make sure that we do everything right.
Absolutely.
And not just want to take over football because we are tired of the normalization committee.
Now, here's where my point comes in.
And for me, it's very crucial.
I had an interview with Ebo Apia, and he made certain allegations right here on this platform. He talked about or accused Dr. Amo of certain illegalities, that he had made certain moves that were supposed to have been rectified by Congress, which weren't. Okay? And he made a point that, look, they don't want to be throwing works in the, they don't want to throw spanners in the works of the NC. Said that this process would drag any further. And I made a point to him that, look, as a matter of principle, if an illegality has been committed, It's not about whether we want football to return or not. The right thing needs to be done. Okay? So you don't compromise on wrongs or rights simply because you want to regain control of football. And I asked him if after these processes they are going to go back and ensure that the right things are done. Of course, I mean the question wasn't answered satisfactorily. But the point I'm making, and I've seen a lot of it. Somebody sent me a message asking me that George Afriyie, for instance, had his name mentioned, and adverse findings was against him from the Jamife Commission.
Yeah.
And that he understands that George has appealed at the appeals court.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's a case that is pending.
Yes.
It is yet to be determined.
Yes.
Why is George being allowed to contest for the presidency of the Ghana Football Association? Hold it. And he made a point that if George wins, the FA president becomes the FA president.
Yes.
And his appeal at the appeals court is dismissed.
Yes.
What happens then?
But obviously, then Congress will have to come in and then impeach him. That will be the only
now,
process.
I didn't finish, Hans. I didn't finish my point. You see, let's not forget the happenings of our football. Let's throw back to about 3 or 4 seasons ago, when King Faisal also went to court, and our league
and they are still in
was hanging in the balance. Our league was hanging in the balance. After a while, everybody thought, something, let's just resume and let's start playing. You see, I'm saying all of this from the sentimental point of view, because you're also looking at the players, the people who break their backs on the pitch to give us all the joy and all the beauty and all the competition, and to give us a product that we can all relate to and make a value chain out of.
Absolutely.
Okay? These players are idle. These players are idle. They are not earning any salaries, and they are struggling. And this has been the case for I don't know how many months.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that you mentioned the word compromise. At every single point, certain levels of compromise will be made.
I agree.
Look,
I agree. You know why
extraordinary
Congress,
Congress.
When I'm dealing with
extraordinary Congress, let me land
on legalities.
No.
That is my fundamental.
I'm not saying. I'm not
Let's get it right before we go.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying. No, guys. Let me finish. I'm not saying we should throw things or brush things under the carpet and move ahead. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm just saying is that, you see, whether we like it or not, even if George's case is cleared, even if this Palmer case is cleared, there will still be issues that we'll have to still deal with, whether we like it or not. You get me? But like I said, at certain points, I mean, for crying out loud, even when you go to court, they tell you go and do alternative dispute resolution. So there are times when, sometimes little compromises must be made. I'm not saying that
made a very important point.
I'm not saying we should throw everything under.
So let's just get it right, because if you are breaking away from something that happened 13 years ago and we want to correct it, just correct it and move on.
I'm coming back to the question the person put.
Even if it's going to take us,
if George Afriyie wins and becomes FA president, and his appeal at the appeals court is dismissed, what happens?
So what happens is that obviously then those adverse findings stand. Therefore, it will be up to the GFA Congress to want to handle that matter.
That's all.
If the GFA Congress decide that they still want to keep their president, there's nothing you and I can do.
Why not this alternative? That look, George, you've got a case pending. Exactly. Let's exhaust that process.
But that will not be fair to him. But that will not be fair because okay, so on the same side, turn it on the flip side. What if you ask him to step aside and go and deal with this case, and he wins?
He can still stand in the future as FA president.
Oh, come on, but that will not be fair to him. That will not be fair because see,
why not?
Now see, it is deemed that.
Do you know that the route you are talking about would cost us money?
Which one?
That if we allow him to stand, as is the case now, and he wins, and his appeal is thrown out.
Yes.
And
the FA is now the
we have to convene
an extraordinary Congress to handle the matter. But that one. Listen, even that one, it will come down to the congressmen voting for either they want the president out or they don't, and it will come down to those 120 people who will convene, who will come for that Congress.
I disagree.
No,
there's an adverse finding against you.
Yes.
You've gone to the appeals court.
Yes.
Your appeal has been dismissed.
Yes.
Which means that it stands.
Yes.
If I'm correct, I understand that recommendation from the commission is that he should have nothing to do with the Black Stars.
Yes, the national team, basically.
The national team.
Yes.
How can he be FA president and not deal with the national team?
Well, but again, Congress have ruled on because of the Nyantichi issue. They said a president cannot be a chairman or member of any of the national management committee.
It doesn't mean you can't have anything to do with it.
Well, but directly you will not have anything to do with the Black Stars. Directly, you will not have anything.
But indirectly, you would.
Possibly, indirectly, possibly.
Well,
there's a possibility. But I think that, look, for me, it will come down to whether he wins or loses. I think it will be fair to allow him to go and contest. If he loses that appeal, it will be up to the GFA Congress, which is the highest decision-making body, for them to deal with the matter.
We'll see how it goes. 0244340437. That's our WhatsApp number. 0244340437. I've got a few of your messages coming through. Keep them coming through. I'll be reading them in a bit here on First Take on Joy 99.7 FM.
Benedict seems to be getting a lot of.
No. I'm just talking about the information flying around that there's been an injunction of the elections. There is nothing like that.
Okay, so I was actually coming to injunctions and petitions and stuff like that.
So what's happening is, Roy Arthur also was disqualified due to his case with MNS Do, the late MNS Do. 4 years ago at the Cape Coast High Court, the Central Regional Football Association election. So the NC rejected his appeal, and he has gone to court. So the writ of summons was given to the FA. That was yesterday, and then today they went to court asking for a sitting on a case. So I understand that will be done on Monday. So Monday there will be a sitting on the case. So there is nothing like an. So
there is no injunction, not even on the Central Regional RFA elections.
There is nothing like that. As we speak now. So well, I don't know if that will be determined on Sunday. I'm not a lawyer.
No, it will be Monday.
Sorry.
Monday.
So
that will be determined.
Yeah. So I don't know if that will be determined on Monday or not. But there is nothing like an injunction on it. And even if there is going to be something like that, I want to believe
it doesn't affect.
I want to believe that it will not affect the presidential election, and possibly even the RFA level. I'm not sure will affect all the other regions,
No,
it
all the
will
other
be
regions
the
may-
Central Regional Football Association election. But
and that will not necessarily one election being held in a particular region will not necessarily affect the whole election.
Yeah.
Right, so 0244340437 WhatsApp, 0244340437. Let's get your thoughts on the issues we've been talking about here on First Take live on Joy 99.7 FM. Jesse Amponsa, Nathaniel Lato, and Benedict Owusu Dankwa. My name is Hans Mensando. Let's take a quick look at the manifestos that the various candidates have
The academic exercise they have been conducting. It's an academic exercise.
It's an academic exercise.
Oh, come on.
Why do you describe it as such?
I mean, the point is this. Like earlier on, the point made by Benedict. Now, if you look at it, in the case of Ghana, we run what you call the executive presidency. So if you look at Ghana's 1992 constitution, specifically Article 58, says that all executive authority is vested in the president, one man, and he delegates part of that authority to his ministers and all those things. So the president goes into an election with his manifesto. Now, in the case of the FA, the executive authority is vested in the council, not an individual.
Okay.
So you have a situation where, for example, if Kurt wins, his manifesto, he will need to, as a matter of urgency, bring it before the executive council for them to approve. Now, if the executive council decide that, oh, you say you distribute balls, that one we don't agree.
Then if you distribute the balls, it's your personal initiative.
Yeah, if you want to do it on a personal level, we don't agree with that idea. We think that
what Ghana football needs more is to distribution parts.
You get it.
Okay.
So obviously, for me, for the individuals, it's nice that they are presenting their blueprint. And that's why I call it an academic exercise. Again, look, all the candidates, with no disrespect to any of them, listen, I think that they will win power, and even 10% of that, whatever they are promising, they will not be able to achieve.
Wow.
I'm saying I'm so confident about that.
Why not?
Let me give you
name one specifically.
I'll give you a very classic example.
Okay. $1,000 for each.
No, the start time dues. The start time due. What did we sign? We said 10 pitches. Have you seen one?
But that is up to us to chase them for it.
No, it's not about. But they are George Efie, Keto Kreku, Palmer. Okay, Palmer is not part of the candidates now.
But
all of them were part of that executive committee.
Jesse,
I'm coming.
We haven't been in normal times.
Oh no, I'm not talking about normal times. I'm talking about the fact that all of them were part of that executive committee.
Of course,
that approved that particular thing. They had 2 years to ensure that that particular thing was done.
The start time deal is for how many years?
10 years.
It's a 10-year deal.
Good.
Now, but between signing the deal and then the announced documentary and the institution of the normalization committee was just about a year.
Consistently, we asked about these 10 pitches. Do you know what we were told? We were told about land tenure system. You know, they are not getting that. So you see, that's what we were told. Now, so I'm saying that. So you look at the promises they are making. It's the same thing about balls. There will be implementation challenges.
Of course.
You understand? I mean, translate the same thing to our political. Put from 1992 election to 2016. If all the things that NDC and NPP were promising in their manifestos, they had been able to do it, this place will be a paradise.
Interesting. Let's quickly wrap it up on the athletics bit. The female quartet who was speaking up about the non-payment of per diems and other bonuses to them. And for me, it's become a very familiar story. Every single international event that Ghana attends, from I think the only team that is paid is probably the Black Stars.
Charlie, but
if you bring it down even to our national, the football teams, the junior national teams, they suffer the same thing. The female teams suffer the same thing. Our athletics teams are suffer. Why can't we get it right?
Hans,
I think that
budget. Oh no, the expenditure. I think it was level 1 point something million.
Please hold it there. We'll come to that one. I'll come to you and you make that point. Not make the point you're making.
I have said it here several times that as an editorial team and leading that effort here, I get very tired of having
these conversations.
These of having to place these stories on our platforms and in our content. It's becoming too much. We're getting tired of telling the same story. What I think we need to do as a people is to move from this stage to the other. And how do we move from this stage to the other? Let's activate our sports law Everything, I guess, has been done. At the last time Mr. Rex Dankwa was here, he explained the details to me. There is a funding component within the proposed sports, the sports bill, the sports law, that can solve this problem a great deal. We all saw what Get Fund did for education. So if we have a sports fund, we have seed money, we have a good trust deed that starts off the whole process. This can go a long way to, alienate some of these problems. Because, these athletes, based on what we saw at the African Games, can do marvelous stuff. All they need is just that little push. Because, it's disheartening. The tennis team that went to qualify from zone 3 to zone 2 in the Davis Cup. Eventually,
Euro Africa.
Yeah, eventually it was Dr. Daniel Macaulay, the McDan CEO, who gave an amount of about $3,000 to the team to share when they came back after making that, And I was speaking to one of the players.
The captain actually told me that they were handed, is it $200 on arrival?
Yeah. And you look at these guys, look at what they go through in terms of getting themselves prepared with their private efforts. They come back to serve their nation, and sometimes it's just disheartening. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, let's activate that component of our sports law, which is.
You think it's a matter of law?
Yes,
you think that will solve the problem?
Definitely.
Look,
everything is backed by law.
Just solve the problem.
Once that law is in place, then we look at the sources.
We have several laws in this country that are supposed to address
we draw percentages from revenue that we generate from various sectors. For instance, oil and gas. For instance, cocoa. For instance, name them.
I'm quite skeptical.
So, do you know something?
You see, it is a deliberate effort, and if we don't make that deliberate effort, we won't go anywhere. Look, countries like Australia, okay, those countries that we admire so much and we celebrate, when we look at their achievements on the international scene, we see their performances, we admire. This is what they do. They sit back, they put things on paper, and they implement properly.
But you see,
you
mentioned a keyword. You mentioned a keyword. Implement. For me, it's not really about having something on paper. It's about seeing it through. And that, for me, is where we get it all wrong. Consistently get it wrong. That is why, I think that enacting laws is good.
First of all, I'm surprised about this funding component, because the current law, there's no funding component. What happened is this. Now, when this minister took over, he decided to say that we want to form the National Sports Fund. He put together a committee of experts in 2017. Dr. Keke Sapong, Dr. Kwame Baniako, there were a lot of them, for them to think around putting that, National Sports Fund together. The law. The following year, in 2018, we had a conference at Accra International Conference Center to have a discussion on that whole law. In the following year, I think when they were presenting the budget, as part of the Ministry of Youth and Sports' activities for the year, it was mentioned that that law will be put before Parliament for it to be considered and passed. As we speak, nothing has happened to the National Sports Fund. So for me, yes, I agree with Nat that if we had a fund that would mobilize funds to support sports, we should be able to solve a lot of the problems. But unfortunately, there is no reliable, source of funding for our sports. And if
we have the laws, are we going to implement it?
Oh, why not? I mean, we have done national health insurance.
Let me find out what our listeners are saying. This one says, who says phone conversations are not formal? We should get it straight. Did Dr. Amma call him because he's his friend? He called as NC chairman. That came with no name. Do all to add your name to your messages. This one says, good evening, guys. I don't think position of ballot is anything to go by, but if it happens to get 3 strong contenders, what will happen is he who pays more will win in the end, and there is going to be complaints of vote buying. Ajiman Joseph from Tema Community 9. Let me activate the phone lines just about some 5 minutes before we wrap it all up. 0302216541 0302216541. Call us if you can, and let's get your thoughts on what we've been discussing.
Charlie, just to add to the fling, so we should age upon the tweets, that they are begging the government.
Charlie.
It was some way when I saw it. Said,
Pathetic.
yeah,
Charlie.
and that
But
we should retweet for Nanado and the sports minister to see.
Actually, tweeted at Nanado.
Yeah, she tagged Nanado as well as the sports minister, the sports ministry. So that was yesterday. I spoke to Kofi Asare Brakon, who now is spokesperson and personal aid. Prof, why are you laughing? Abate is
Abate.
bro.
Onya.
He's what?
He's spokesperson and personal aid.
Special aid. Is it special aid or personal?
No, he told me personal aid. He didn't say special. I didn't get okay. Well, special aid, personal aid.
It's all PA or
I've
SA.
heard worse.
There's an aid in the matter.
I've had special assistants. I've had secretary to the special assistant.
Charlie. Well, he says it has come to their notice and they are trying very hard to, they are taking steps to make sure.
Is the ministry broke? Did you ask him?
Well, he says they are taking steps.
And then the Yaba expenditure too. It was level $1.8 million.
Which one is the Yaba expenditure?
Yaba expenditure. The one that was done about the at Parliament. The 6.3 million. This thing.
The man, whether they are broke or they are not broke. The man says they are taking steps to sort the girls out.
Meanwhile,
simple.
Meanwhile, on this thing. Meanwhile, the 26th July it has passed. Minister, the breakdown. Charlie, the breakdown. Why you know?
As for the Benedict, you are smiling. Have you got some info?
Benedict, have you got any information on the breakdown?
The breakdown.
The 26th July. It passed already.
You and I are here, so why are you asking?
Why are you saying you and I? Okay, but you promised Parliament.
We are standing here.
Your guest Parliament.
I heard the minister will come into Presec for the Odadia bonfire, so I'm meeting him there to find out.
We'll
try to find out.
Very important.
When the breakdown is coming, but
I think
it's a pathetic issue. It's really bad that.
So we are waiting.
It's really bad that we must have people performing for the country at international
and then
competitions.
They have to beg for their per diems.
You remember the embarrassing situation of the was it the Black Princesses then? Mercy Mouse.
No,
that was
the Black Queens.
Yeah, Mercy Mouse.
That was after the African Games Congo Brazzaville when they won gold. They came to Accra. They were supposed to give them some monies and then they said there were no monies for the girls and they staged the protest and stated clearly that they were not going to leave the hotel until that. But Charlie, we have to drum that the hearing.
Yeah.
That's the Roy Arthur's injunction that he filed. The hearing will be on. Did I even say the hearing? It's coming off on Monday at the Commercial Court 7. Yeah, so
Commercial Court 7.
We'll be there.
Tell you there, you'll be there.
We'll be there.
All of us will be there.
We'll be there to find out what happens.
The various
and see how it goes. Yeah. Very important. Time is fast spent, guys. Thank you very much, Jesse Aponsa. Thank you very much, Benedict Osudankwa. And Benedict will be our man on the injunctions and petitions and stuff. When it breaks, you hear
talk about
first.
the manifesto.
2
minutes.
You mentioned it.
You mentioned it.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
But what did you say? You said it's what?
It's
an academic exercise. And he explained. And I agree.
Not even 10% of it will be achieved.
No, but Prof, you lose sight of the fact that when you win, you have majority. We have not on the executive council.
We have to give the candidates some credit.
No, I'm saying it's a very good academic exercise they've done.
Did you say very good or just said academic?
I said it's an academic exercise they've done.
But you're not saying it's a very good.
No, but he never said it was bad.
I never said it was bad.
But if you just say an academic exercise.
Yeah, but it's an academic exercise. But we haven't seen that happen before. It's an academic exercise they've done.
Anyway, gentlemen,
I applaud them for it.
Of course.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
It tells you that they are very passionate to everything.
Oh, why not? Is there?
But it runs through.
The thing is the implementation. No, it's not about the
guys. Abeku Sankofi is taking his microphones.
Yesterday, Fred Papo said 5 hours reforming, repairing,
reviving,
and then George too has 4 hours.
Hey,
George has 4: revival, restoration, repair. It's 3 hours.
Interesting.
And then
right,
our Palmer has only 1 hour.
Reforming Ghana football.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Benedict Osudankwa, Jesse Amponsa, Prof, and Nathaniel Lato with the rest of the guys. Of course, Billy Sean on Twitter for us, and Selwyn Ofori, the ladies' man, also there. Streamed everything live on Facebook for us. Thank you very much. My name is Hans Mensando. This has been First Take. It's time for me to move.
You got to move.